What is up, party people of the SFL? Welcome to episode 8 of Axis Live. I'm your host, as always, Dave Axis, and you guys are in luck tonight. You're getting 2 shows for the price of 1. You're welcome. We've got the first half of the show. It's going to feature the JAX data team of Hunter Norwood and Jack Wall, and they're going to be breaking down the ELO rating system for us. The second half of the show, we have several peeps coming in to discuss the military charities that a number of people in the SFL will be donating to this season. One of those guests is my very own wife, Mrs. Axis, so be nice to her. And no, I will not be taking questions for her to give you guys info on me and give you a field day. That's not going to happen. Quick thank yous real quick to Fonzie, my show producer, to Eagle for his help with the show server, my sponsors, Bad Boy Custom Rods, Trick Apparel, and Armadillo Ale Works. Let's see who's in the chat tonight. Phoenix, what's up, buddy? Good to see you, Coach. I'm glad you're here. Hey, AJ, thanks for the interview the other day. That was amazing. That was a lot of fun. Hugo, what's up? Mark Chisholm, my old boss. Eagle, of course. Freddie, Nacho, Art. Is that Charles? Charles is in here. Clay Jones, how's it going, bro? Gosh, we got a decent number of people in here. That's good. I know there's a scrimmage going on, so I appreciate you guys coming in here. I've actually been really excited the last couple of weeks to talk to these the JAX data guys. I mean, some of the stuff they come up with just makes my head spin. So hopefully tonight, Hunter and Jack will, maybe stop the spinning just a little bit. Also in the chat, 2 things real quick. Number 1, let me know how I sound. Let me know how the guests are sounding. And then, as always, if you have questions, if you have comments, whatever, for me or the guests, make sure you get them to Fonzie, and then he'll get them to me. Okay, so let me introduce these guys. So you guys know them. Everybody in the SFL knows them. Defensive tackle for Jacksonville, Hunter Norwood. Hunter, how you doing tonight, bro? Hunter, there you go. Go ahead. No worries.
I'm doing pretty good.
Good. And then tight end for Jacksonville as well, Jack Wall. Jack, what's up, buddy?
Doing okay, Dave. How's everything with you?
Doing outstanding. I'm glad that we got this. We got you guys on finally. I know it's been a while since I've been trying to get you guys on, but you guys are here. You guys got the platform, so the audience is yours. So first, let me start off, and either of you guys can take this first question if you want. Can one of you, or maybe both of you, break down the whole ELO rating system to kind of layman's terms for especially myself and any guests that, may not understand the technical parts like I don't understand?
Take it away, Hunter. This is all you.
All right.
Way to pass the buck, Jack.
That's what I do. I set up my teammates.
Yeah, he barely does anything on the field, but it's all Jason Stackhouse. Jason Stackhouse is the real tight end. But,
number 1.
We're throwing shade
tight
already.
End 2 speaking. Tight end 2, number 2 in the house.
Nice.
Right, so ELO is essentially a skill rating. People hear ELO and they think, I don't know what this word means, and they just, shut down, I guess. But I've gotten good response from explaining it, like if you've ever played a competitive video game, there are skill ratings, or there's MMR you might hear in some games. And so basically what it does is it takes 2 teams' skill ratings, which we baseline teams at 1,500 and 1,500 skill points.
Okay.
And they go up and down from there. So let me bring one of the sheets up. I have one of the sheets.
So 1,500 is kind of like your median, or what is that? Or is it your baseline?
1,500 is baseline. So 1,500 could also be 0.
Okay.
I mean, but 538, who does ELO for football and basketball and whatnot, they baseline at 1,500. A lot of things baseline at 1,500.
Okay.
Chess baselines differently, but it's all the same.
Okay.
So let's take season 14. Atlanta at Arizona in week 6. Atlanta had 1,541, a rating of 1,541. Arizona had a rating of 1,439.
Okay.
So there's formulas in there. I won't get into the formulas. It's a lot. Just know that there's formulas that do math things.
Now, but the point of it though, the math things, they're ever changing based on what happens during the game. Is that correct?
Not so much what happens during the game. It's a little more. It's all pregame and postgame.
Okay.
Yes, you could make ELO for mid-game situations. I could give a win probability like what ESPN does.
Mm-hmm.
If you check it, ESPN app, as the game is progressing, it'll say win probability throughout the game. So yeah, you can make it work for that. But as far as we're doing, it's pregame. You get a win probability for a team, and then in the post game, you gain or lose points.
Okay.
And
Now,
move on to the next
now
game.
is that where you guys? Is that how you guys figure out your power rankings week to week throughout the season?
Yes.
Okay.
And with the power rankings, we don't take it from a single sheet, because currently we are running 3 sheets. I have one sheet that works like a standard ELO system, where week to week teams win and lose. They win and lose. They gain and lose points.
So I'll jump in here real fast, Hunter, just because I'll explain it a little bit quicker, and we can move on to some other topics. Sorry about that. New York guy here. I'm all about.
You want to do everything in a New York minute, right, Jack?
Exactly. So Hunter uses 3 sheets. I'm not going to take credit for it. Hunter does all the calculations behind the scenes. The main sheet, or one of the sheets that we use in the off season, it will reset every team to the 1,500 baseline that we were discussing before. Basically, every team starts from scratch, winning, losing. End of the season is basically going to look like the standings on the homepage. Another version of the sheet that he uses will regress a team back to the mean being 1,500, a third of the way. That's correct, Hunter?
Yeah, it's divided by 3, so they...
Okay, so we'll call it a third of the way. Somewhere in between where they finished and back to the 1,500 median. And then the last sheet is no regression, where essentially wherever the team left off at the end of season 14, that's where they start in season 15. Okay. We mix them all together, throw them all in a pot, see what we can do to adjust them, sort of make sure the eye test works out. And that's how we come up with what you saw, the preseason power rankings. And furthermore, more importantly, we use these ELO rankings to determine point spreads and favorites and things of that nature. So, Hunter, if I left anything out, please feel free.
No, that's about it. I can get a little wordy.
No, well, that's okay. I think
that's why I have track.
The more words we have, the maybe the easier it might be to understand it anyway. So that's okay. So I want to get back into some more of the details in a minute, but before we do that, each of you, Hunter, you go first. What's your background? How did you get into this, and what made you think, or what made you think to do it for the SFL?
So I just like numbers. I don't have. I'm not in a numbers field. I just work at a restaurant. But I've just always enjoyed numbers and seen how you can manipulate them and whatnot.
Okay.
So I had received the original ELO sheet from actually Ken Gossett, wide receiver on our team.
Mm-hmm.
Kenny G.
Best wide receiver in the SFL. But
no offense taken. It's okay. He's a beast. Go ahead.
I mean, we didn't see too much. What was it, last week or so? But
Well, he
That's,
worked.
that's a whole other story.
Yeah, he worked us the other day. But go ahead. So continue.
So I'd gotten the sheet from him. I continued to update it because he got busy, and then I started experimenting. I got more sheets, and I don't know. I just kind of the ELO sheets we did in the background, and then we kind of got to a point where we wanted to put them out to the public, just to throw some people off. We knew it was mathy. We knew we put it out to the public when Jacksonville was number one in all the sheets, just to really put it home.
So,
and sure enough, we got some people riled up.
Right. Hey, did you have any people? And Jack, I'll ask you this, and then we'll go into your background. Did anybody, when you first threw it out there, go, "Oh, I know all about this"?
I think 2 people out of the entire league.
Okay.
It wasn't a positive feedback we were looking for, where we released the sheets and everyone was like, "Oh wow, these guys are doing such a great job keeping up the ELO sheets behind the scenes." We had no idea. It was more like we released the sheets and everyone was just like, "Math, I'm confused, X out, not even going to pay attention to this." So
geez.
it was a bit alarming that all the work that Hunter was putting in behind the scenes. And again, this transitions into my background a little bit. I've been a data analyst for it was one company for 5.5 years. I've been consulting on a couple different brands for the last 3.5 years or so. So I have roughly 10 years as a data analyst experience. I was an economics major in college. I just like the idea of economic theory and sort of number theory, where our whole data department allows me to sort of explore what I want to explore. Frank Gooden, our head coach, does a great job of just allowing us to sort of do what we want to do. And Hunter, like you said, took on the ELO project because Ken was doing that and got busy. I do some other stuff behind the scenes where I'm looking to create statistics, create team rankings, anything that we can do that's sort of interesting, that I think is interesting, that could sort of leak over into the public and the public would find interesting. I'm working on something that's a bit of a luck factor for teams, a sort of a randomness factor.
Okay.
That we'll see how that plays out. Some other things that it's mostly testing, guess and check, and a lot of the stuff doesn't see the light of day. But when it does, it feels great to publish something and say like, hey, I was a part of this. And with the SFL specifically, it was just such a blank landscape in terms of the beyond what all pro football was giving you.
Oh, lost you, Jack. I don't know what happened to him. We lost him. Hey, if he pops on, I'll let him finish. But in the meantime, Hunter, I have to ask this question to both of you. You guys put those rankings out, and Jacksonville just happened to be number one. So you got to explain to us a little bit about how the data supported that, because there were some eyebrows lifted when you guys posted that article a couple days ago.
Well, so I tried. I really tried to not make Jacksonville one. I fiddled around with stuff, and we were just number one. I couldn't help it. I guess we're just the best team. I don't know, but but it's just like it said at the top of the article, it was an aggregate of the other sheets. So the way I aggregated it was give me 2 seconds to bring it up.
And I guess, did we lose Jack for good, by the way?
It looks like he's trying to get his mic figured out.
Okay.
So he might be backing out and come back in.
Okay.
But the way I aggregated it was I took 70% of, like we were talking before, the original sheet that regresses teams back to the mean fully. I took 5% of the secondary sheet that regresses teams by a third. Okay. So that's 75% of regress sheets.
Okay.
And then 25% of the sheet that never regresses teams. I always call the sheet that doesn't regress teams the dynasty sheet, because since it doesn't regress, it tends to look like teams that are higher up are in a current dynasty.
Right.
So for the longest time, Florida was top. Florida hit 1800. They hit 1812 back in season 13, week 6, and that's the highest I've ever seen. Was 1812.
1812.
And they've dropped down to 1650 because they had an off season, but it's still 1650, and that's still on aggregation. They're still high up on the no regression sheet, they're still high up there because it's just how it is. I think they're fourth on as far as no regression is. Atlanta's been a consistent team.
Of course, yeah.
They haven't always gotten far, but they've been consistently good. And then they finally had a real big breakout season, winning the championship, and now they're third in overall dynasty. So it's stuff like that.
And the one thing I want to add in here, sorry, I lost the.
Oh, that's okay, Jack. Go ahead. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, the one thing I want to add in here is the team like Atlanta, who finished last year first overall, because they ended up winning the championship. The better teams that you beat, the teams with the higher ELO rankings that you end up beating, the better it is for your ELO ranking. So that's why you saw a team like Atlanta finally burst through last season, because they're beating all through the playoffs with these high ELO rankings.
Right.
So if you're a good team and you lose to a really bad team, you are going to lose a lot of ELO points.
Right.
If you are a good team, you beat a team that's above you, you are going to gain a lot of ELO points.
Gotcha.
So just something to think about.
So 2 quick things from people in the chat. Number 1, it looks like is that Jeremy? Where was that at? Jeremy Vegas said Denver's going to hit 869. I don't know if that's a laughing moment or not, but that's what he said. And then somebody else wanted to know. Oh, they want to know if you're going to be making a betting app.
Maybe not an app, but there's some things in the works way down the pipeline. We're only in season 2 on this. I don't know if we want to dive into the money aspect until we have a very firm grasp on what we're doing, because that is a very easy way to lose a quick buck by being a bookmaker when you're not sure of the spreads that you're kind of setting.
Right.
So that's the end goal, yes, but no, we're not currently developing.
Okay. Hunter, what are your thoughts on that?
Sorry, what was the
initial Jack question? Was just talking about the betting app, about producing a betting app or going that way some way. I
mean, he's basically hit on it. We talk about it more or less every day, of just how to go about it. But yeah, it's all just kind of in the works. It's all about just getting data together, because I don't want to go live with something and get creamed because we're not putting up good lines.
Right. Hey, another question in the chat real quick, and I guess they want to know, who was the projected number 1 ELO starting at for season 14? So obviously we know Atlanta won, but who was your projected number 1 at the beginning of the season? Do you guys remember?
I don't particularly know. I don't keep aggregated numbers as a history.
Okay.
I mean, I could look back, but again, I have multiple sheets running, so I'd have to go back.
I mean, my recollection, because I played with Atlanta last season, my recollection is we were 3 or 4. I want to say maybe it was Baltimore or Queen City or something like that, but I actually don't remember either. Somebody in the chat asked us, so I want to get their question in. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I just think I think Denver probably finished the season 13 at the top of the rankings, but again, I'm with Hunter on that. I don't quite remember if they started the season at number 1. I think Baltimore might have been up there also.
Yeah,
or Jacksonville for that matter. But Not a definitive answer on that one. Sorry.
We only got a few more minutes left with you guys. Before we wrap up, is there anything else you want to explain from the first question with the details on how this works that you may have forgotten or left out?
The one thing I'll say before I'll let Hunter sort of finish out this segment if he wants is point differential is a huge factor. Elo, winning and point differential is sort of how you boost your score the most, along with what I said previously about beating better teams. If you're the top team and you blow out the worst team, it's not really going to change that much regardless. But yeah, point differential and sort of beating better teams is how you gain more points. And vice versa, if you're a good team and you lose to a really bad team, you're going to drop precipitously in the rankings.
Okay. I'm assuming
Hunter,
that goes the same.
else?
Yes. Okay. No, I got that.
Sorry.
Hunter, go ahead.
The only thing I've seen in the chat, because I did kind of trail off towards the end of previous question, how Jacksonville became number one.
Right.
We were basically number one because in two of the sheets that we pulled from, the next closest team was Atlanta as well as Baltimore. In two sheets, us, Atlanta, and Baltimore were all very close. And then in the third sheet, we were higher than Atlanta and Baltimore. So that really ended up, it was a very close battle between the three of us. It was just one sheet. We beat both teams in the ELO rating. And so there was nothing I could do in an aggregation format to put us below one of those two teams. So that's how we ended up number one.
Okay.
For season 15.
Right. So let me ask this. Tom Scouts SFL in the chat says logical math, or probably I guess math that we understand, would put Sioux Falls number one because they retained almost everyone and they were the runner-up, right? Question mark. And then said Atlanta would be high too, but the quarterback change knocked them down. So I get that. So when you have, because Atlanta, I think you said previously, if you end one season as the champion, in the next season, depending on what goes on, you would start the next season, at number one. Not the case this year. And is that due to Atlanta losing Marcus Dunhill? And then where was Sioux Falls on your list again?
Sioux Falls, I think. Let me give it a check.
Because it seems like one and
they
two.
They were in like the 5-6 range. So I see where he's getting at.
Mm-hmm.
So like 538 has a quarterback ranking. So they integrate into their ELO sheets a ranking for quarterbacks. The issue is, and it's something I touched on in the article, was that I understand that the SFL is a giant role play. It's like a giant D&D session.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, it's coaches putting in playbooks, making schemes. And yes, player builds do matter. But even though some teams bring back all their players or some teams lose some players, the skills of the coaches stay. Now, if coaches leave, I can understand that. Like Florida changes coaches or Denver changes coaches and they didn't do as well. Or Mighty comes back to Florida this season and Jeremy comes back to Denver this season. So the team, the skill of the team is going to be different due to the coaches.
Right.
So that, honestly, sorry, but that is something we've looked into, is making ELO ratings for coaches.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know exactly how I would do it, but it's something, because that's really what matters in the league, is coaching staffs.
Right. Okay.
Right. Just to finish tie that up
go ahead.
with a bow is the fact that Atlanta lost Marcus Dunhill. Well, yes, we all would say that's a huge loss. As Hunter was saying, it's ultimately going to come down to the game plan and the coaching and whether or not they could put their new quarterback in a winning position, et cetera, et cetera. So we don't pull that out from the rankings as someone like 538 would, because they have these quarterback rankings and how much the quarterback affects the NFL game.
Right.
That's why Hunter was alluding to adding the coaching ranking to sort of inject that into it. But overall, it really is just sort of historical wins, historical performance, and that is why a team like Jacksonville rose to the top, and a team like Atlanta sort of stayed at 2 because of historical success. And again, understanding that Sioux Falls runner-up, historically good team, but not as historically the more recent history. Jacksonville and Atlanta is sort of better than them, so sort of staying at the top there. If that answers the question a little bit better.
Yeah, no, it does. It actually, both of you guys answered it very well. One last question before I let you guys go, and it's actually for Jack. It comes from Johnny. He says, "Is Jack Wall going to shift the spreads for his advantage in the Survivor pool?"
I already told Johnny yes, 100%. Just send your money to me directly. I'll give you my Venmo. I'm going to be manipulating those spreads all season long. You guys are going to be going for a roller coaster in that Survivor pool.
Perfect. I bet we just gained a whole bunch more people to play the pool right now. Thanks for that, Jack. Oh my gosh. All right. Thank you both for coming on and trying to explain something to us that is not that easy to explain or that easy to comprehend. Thank you, and I hope that people are able to follow it a little better this year. I hope they follow it more this year, and I hope that now that they've got a little understanding, that it'll make more sense as they're reading up on it. So, Hunter, Jack, thank you for coming on. Really appreciate you guys.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Of course.
Oh, before we get out of here, follow us at JAX Data on Twitter. For all our updates.
Absolutely.
One word, JAX Data, all one word. Follow us on Twitter. Thank you, guys. And thank you, Dave.
Yeah, you're welcome. I've already been following you guys for a while, actually, so that's perfect. I'm glad you threw that out there for everybody to follow you. Okay, so before we transition over to the military charity portion of the show, I think, Gunny, are you ready? Because if you're ready, I think it's time for you to rock and roll. Just give me the heads up and let me know if you're ready yet.
I'm good.
All right, go ahead. Do your thing now.
Good evening, SFL. Just want to congratulate the 4 new coaches of the minor leagues, the Memphis Riverhounds, Rain Rowe, Tacoma Grizzlies, Jalen Wells, Lexington Miners, Chad Rawlin, and the Salt Lake City Rustlers, Ross Napoli. Also, don't forget about the Survivor Pool. Get those picks in for Week 1, and also the Week 1 Who You Got is out. Also, listen to these military charities. I am a veteran, so I am looking forward to the next segment. That is all. Carry on.
Perfect, Gunny. Thank you as always. You are the man. All right, so I know everybody's been following along with the charity thing. I think it probably came up maybe, I don't know, 4 weeks ago, give or take. We have on the show tonight, we have Ross Napoli and Johnny Pickler. I know they've already talked about it on a couple other shows. Excuse me, but I wanted to bring them on here as well, especially with the season getting ready to start. And we have some more guests as well, including, after I speak with them, we have the founder and CEO of Stack Up. So Ross and Johnny, let me start with you real quick. First of all, welcome to the show, both of you.
Good to be back, buddy.
Yes, thank you, Dave. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, of course. And then just real quick, because I really want to get to Steve, but can one of you tell me how this whole thing got started with doing this for the league this season?
Was a couple of weeks ago, I had seen what Dwayne had done in regards to taking the turnover differential stat, attaching a dollar amount to it from St. Louis, and making the donation to the Wounded Warrior Project. And once I saw that, I said, my brain kind of works in like, how could we make this bigger? I said it on a coach's show, and I'd say it again. It's not about making Dwayne's idea better, but bigger and extending it out. I'm somebody who has 2 special needs children, so I've done a lot of charity work outside of this league. And when I saw an opportunity to bring players in this game to give to good causes, and we could attach it to the teams and all of us becoming friendly in this league, I thought it was an excellent way to go about it.
Okay, awesome. Johnny, do you have anything to add real quick before we get to Steve?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to. I mean, that's basically how it began. I mean, Ross, we were in the process of drafting him, and he had spoken to Gerald already about his initiative, and Gerald said, "Hey, that's crazy that you say that because Johnny, our QB, has been working behind the scenes to get a big charity partnership that we're proud of, in the works, and maybe you two can kind of tag team that." So I know we'll get to that, after Steve talks. I just want to say that the reason that Stack Up is so important to me and touches close to home with me is, for one, I'm a veteran. Their motto too is, veterans are their mission. Gaming's their passion. Gaming's a big passion of mine. It's, as far as it is for everyone else in this league as well. A lot of guys love to game. And really, they have a lot going into, mental health research and suicide prevention in veterans and active duty. And while I was on active duty, in the Army, I was stationed at Fort Gordon. And when I was attached to the Criminals Investigations Division, my duty was to go, part of my job duty was to go to every single suicide scene on base. And, and that, will stay with me forever. And to realize how real it is, how real the issue is. And so, when I first heard of Stack Up back when I was working in the 2K league and was trying to get something going with them back then. I mean, I've never forgotten them. And when we had this opportunity to partner with them, I was extremely proud to do it. Gerald, the owner, extremely proud to do it. We're going all in as a team, naming our stadium after Stack Up, and couldn't be prouder to have Steve here with us and to be, part of the Stack Up family going forward. We're going to do great things for him.
Okay, awesome. Steve, let me introduce founder and CEO of Stack Up. Their website is stackup.org. Johnny just gave you kind of a little preview of them. If you're watching on Twitch right now, we have a little slideshow going that you can watch while you're listening to Steve that shows some of the people they've been helping through their organization. So, Steve Machugo, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on, guys. Appreciate it.
Of course. Before we get into Stack Up, give us a little background on yourself, and because I understand you have a military background as well. So let the listeners know about that.
Yeah, roger that. 8 years Army, 4 years infantry, 4 years intel, active duty the whole time. 2 tours overseas, and damn, Johnny, I had no idea that was your history in the military. That's pretty heavy, man. So that certainly makes a lot more sense as to why you like where we're coming from as an organization. So, but yeah, that's where I'm coming from. 98 to 06.
Okay. How did you get the idea? Now, I understand you are the founder as well as the CEO. So how did you get the idea for Stack Up?
I had started back in the day when I got out of the service and I was doing government work. I was working with an organization called Extra Life, which is Children's Miracle Network, and it's about sick kids and getting them gaming. And I don't have any kids of my own, so it kind of bounced off me. It was doing a good thing, but I didn't have that heart and soul behind it. And about 2010, my driver in Iraq went back in and redeployed to Afghanistan almost immediately. He knew I had some contacts in the games industry, and he reached out and he said, "Hey, can you get us like an Xbox or something? We're losing our minds over here. There's nothing to do." You know how that goes if you've been deployed. Just a lot of just chewing through that time. 364 and a wake up. And so I was like, yeah, let me ask around. And the response we got back was pretty dramatic from Activision and Capcom and a lot of major third-party studios. And so it turned into, we ended up getting more donations. And I say we, it was me at the time. I was just trying to help a buddy out. I ended up getting far more donations than I could possibly do anything with. And you give, Private Snuffy an Xbox. Next thing you know, Joe to his left and his right, like, hey, I could use an Xbox.
Right.
And so it turned into this, like, I started getting more and more requests. And it turned into this, like, hey, I think I might be onto something here. Because studios and development houses and things like that have closets full of stuff just sitting around. It's not the best, but it's certainly better than literally nothing. So it turned, and this is back in 2010. So when I first started this, it was just about getting Xboxes and PlayStations in the hands of guys. If you've ever been deployed, you get all kinds of boxes from folks back home who are trying to help, and it's whatever random 5th grade canned food drive nonsense they can box up and ship overseas. It's like, you're not really helping anybody. It's like, let's send these guys something that, as somebody who deployed, I definitely feel like this I was going to make a difference with whatever I was going to be doing. And so that's how it all started in 2010. Now, flash forward a couple of years. Now we have a bunch of different programs, and not the least of which is our suicide prevention team, because it all leads back to good. And again, when I started this was not the intention. I was just trying to help a buddy out. But it's like over time you realize getting an Xbox in the hands of somebody and helping somebody have a better deployment, a better time, opportunity to reach out and interact with friends and family overseas and things like that. That leads to better mental health and morale, which leads to feeling of community, a feeling of friendship, and keeping guys from killing themselves. And that is where this is all gone to now. So we have a full-on 24/7 suicide prevention team online with trained volunteers that go through about 30 hours worth of training to learn how to interact with veterans who are on the edge, and that's a big piece of what it is we do now. So it's been great.
As you started in 2010, did you see big growth right away? Was it a grind?
It's been a grind.
It's been a grind. Is it still a grind?
Yeah, every year there's always something like, oh, this is going to be the thing. This is going to be the thing. And every year it kind of like comes and goes and doesn't really like last year we worked with Ninja, and he did a charity event with like a family feud. They do a charity thing they have celebrity family feud. There's the words I was looking for. And so we were like, oh shit, here we go. We're friends with Ninja now. This is gonna be great. And that didn't go anywhere. So it's like every year there's something like that. Like, oh, this is gonna be the thing that lights that fuse, and we're gonna hit mainstream. And it just never. But the good news is, hey, we continue to grow as an organization. 10% bigger and better every year, and it's all good. It's a comfortable place to be at. We're in a good position. With us being online during COVID, a lot of our programs, like we have a program called Aerosol, which is like kind of like being able to what's the word I'm looking for? I haven't had to do this pitch in a while. But it's like Make a Wish, where you take we take veterans through our Aerosol program. We fly them out to various game studio tours and gaming conventions and things like that. Because I know the first time I went to a PAX West, I was blown out of my shoes. I was like, I didn't know this was even a thing. I didn't know there was a community. I was playing games online, but I felt kind of alone. I didn't really have anybody. And then you go, the heart of Seattle, and there's 60,000 screaming video game fans there, and it's like, oh, okay, I'm not alone anymore. Like there's a whole community I can get involved with here, and it really changed my life. And we've brought guys out and got introduced them to studios and got them signed swag from their favorite developers and things like that, and even have gotten some of our veterans that we brought out jobs in the industry, which is even crazier. Like, hey, I want to work at this studio, or I want to work here, there, or wherever. And it's like, yeah, we have connections. They might not be a good fit, but we at least get a veteran a leg up in the industry versus just going to the jobs page on a website and going, I don't know, let me just send my interview or send my resume in. And we've got a bunch of jobs with Microsoft right now for Halo, which is crazy. We've got 4 positions that we're trying to fill that with veterans right now. So it's like it's if you'd have told me 10 years ago when I started doing this, we'd be at this point. I wouldn't believe it. But it's been wonderful.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. It sounds like you're doing an amazing job. I heard through the grapevine a little bit that you had something to do with Overwatch. You want to tell us about that?
Well, that's the name of our that's the name of our suicide prevention team, our Overwatch program. Overwatch is a military term where you have one unit or a person who is either laying down covering fire or kind of maintaining eyes on a position to make sure when you are moving up or bounding up or flanking around that you're not going to get shot at or something like that. So it's bottom line to say, I got your back. It's bottom line. That's a military term. And I kind of took it as like what we ended up using it for, because our Overwatch program was a very informal program to start. We weren't planning on starting a suicide prevention team. We just had a bunch of great folks in our Discord hanging out and talking yang, and you get a bunch of vets together. They're going to get salty and dark and extremely dark humor, and then every once in a while somebody would say something and be like, ooh, that's kind of stepping over a line. This guy might be in trouble. We might have to do something. So we put this informal program together, and it just became the stop, which is Stack Up Overwatch program. And that's where that came from. But yeah, Ironically, we're working with Blizzard right now to. We're not getting a skin right now because that in Overwatch, but we are definitely trying to work with them. There's a variety of things they're doing. They have a bunch of high-end PCs from BlizzCon that they're not using now that BlizzCon isn't a thing. So they're going to be getting us some of those, and I mean for veterans and just all kinds of stuff. I mean it's them because Blizzard is attached to Activision. Activision has the Call of Duty endowment, and so they can't really stray too far away from that. And they have told us as much. They're like, look, we have to kiss the ring, so to speak. So we have to support Call of Duty endowment. However, ... we can do these smaller things, which to us are huge. Like it's like, hey, would you like 100 top, 2080, graphics card PCs that we're not going to use for BlizzCon this year? It's like, yeah, we'll take those.
Awesome. Yeah, right. Who wouldn't take them? Awesome.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, yeah, well, that's perfectly fine.
Awesome. Go ahead.
No, please, I'm rambling.
No, you're not rambling. No, trust me. This is all great information, and I'm sure the listeners are eating it up. I was just going to ask the hows and whys you decided to get involved with the SFL, and in particular with Louisiana, the Louisiana Revolution.
Oh, this is 100% Johnny's move right here. He came to me with this like, oh yeah, we're doing this online, and I get a lot of random pitches for online esports, nonsensory, and I'm sure you guys are quite familiar in that arena. That everybody's got that next $1 million idea of what they want to do, and I just kind of sat back and I was like, okay, well, that's fine. Johnny seems really excited about this, and I'm gonna, hey, that's fine. He sounds interested, and I kind of sat back and waited and wanted to see where this was going. And as it has continued to grow out, it's like, oh, this is actually something. Because I deal with a lot of esports, and a lot of esports is very ephemeral. A lot of like, we got all these great big ideas, and then nothing ever comes to pass. And it's like, okay, so I kind of just sat back and waited to see where this was going. And yeah, this is really exciting to know that this could really go somewhere as an organization, and then we got in on the ground floor like this. I'm kind of excited. I gotta admit.
Well, we're excited to have you, and I first of all thank you for coming on the show. If you don't mind sticking around, I'm going to go back to Ross and Johnny right now. But if you don't mind sticking around in case we need to go back to you and go back and forth, are you okay for a few minutes?
Yeah, sure. I'm here for you.
Okay, that'd be awesome. Ross and Johnny, let me bring you back in here. So you talked about how we got this, how you got it started. What's the other platform we're using? And do you guys want to talk about that for the like the collection process and all that?
Okay, Johnny, why don't you tell them about Pledge It and how we got involved with them?
Yeah, so Pledge It is I did my research because I knew what we wanted to do as a league. We wanted to be able to to use our stats to raise money, for different causes around the league. We were getting a lot of good feedback. Ross, I know, was kind of the point man reaching out to other teams. While we are committed to stack up in-house with Louisiana, we wanted to give other teams, the chance to connect with their own charities, or even teams that didn't want to get on board, individual players that want to get involved with a charity, whether they want to attach themselves to us or do their own thing. Found out that Pledge It was kind of the perfect platform for us. And the reason is it's really seamless in the way that you can create, to create a website for yourself, or a Pledge It, a Pledge It page. And you can assimilate any stat you want. So you can say, if your player's a quarterback, you can do passing touchdowns, you can do yards, you can do tackles, you can do interceptions, you can do sacks, whatever your stat is for your character. It gives you a platform to say, I want to donate $5 per passing touchdown. But really, it's, it also gives you the power to communicate and raise money the same way someone who's running a 5K can ask for pledges. And athletes use this Pledge It all the time. Phillip Rivers and a lot of big NFL guys love Pledge It because they can do it by their stat. And even if you yourself don't have tons of money and you want to do something like $1 per tackle if your guy's on defense, or $1 per sack or something like that, it's about your reach. And a lot of us, have a certain level of social reach, whether that's via our Facebook or our Twitter accounts or this or that. And then you can ask people, hey, just throw on a quarter for every touchdown pass I throw. Do you mind? And then it will take their credit card informations, and it will all go into one pledge. And where your touchdown pass may only start as $5 a touchdown pass at the end of the season, by week 12, it could be $30 a touchdown pass going for your cause. So I thought Pledge It was a great platform, and that's who we're directing all teams and players that want to do their own thing to Pledge It. As far as our connection with Stack Up, if anyone liked the cause and liked everything Steve was talking about, you can always donate directly to Stack Up through the Louisiana Revolution Twitter page. That's our website link up there. It goes right to our donor page and our partnership with Stack Up. And you can just donate any amount that you'd feel like it, right after this podcast. Or if you're waiting to, maybe match a touchdown pass I do, or a sack Ross does, or a touchdown reception Twin Screw does, or a win that Gerald puts out, we're going to be launching those Pledge It websites this week prior to our opener this weekend.
Awesome. Ross, do you want to say anything else?
Yeah, I'd like to take the opportunity to acknowledge a lot of the people who have jumped on this. There's a bunch of teams that were really receptive to the idea of what we were doing with Stack Up. And so, and I know you guys are going to get to what you're doing in Lone Star, which is great. And I can't wait to hear all the information about that. But along with us in Stack Up, Fort Worth jumped on. They're going to be dealing directly through their own charity, but they're doing a local charity in Fort Worth called A Wish with Wings. Their mission is basically granting wishes for young Texans with life-threatening conditions. The Chicago Wildcats, Shan Varner is very committed to St. Jude as well as Feeding America. So they're going to be doing individual as well as a team effort there, and they're still working that out. Guys over in St. Louis, I was speaking with Dwayne. And, there are separate guys on the team who want to do their own sort of things. So they're going to be linked with Wounded Warriors, Doctors Without Borders, the Humane Society. There were other teams that are doing their own thing that don't want to be attached to Pledge It because they do their own sort of charity work, but were very open to sharing that they were doing things, teams like Baltimore and Charleston and London. And then we had the individuals, which have already created their pages, which I've shared a bunch. Tom Rahman from Las Vegas has linked up with Play Like a Girl, which empowers girls to be impactful leaders in the STEM workforce by staying active in sports. Jess Otis Boudreau is going to be linking to the Disabled American Veterans, as well as a friend of mine that I've become friends with from San Jose, Doug Britton, who's also with Las Vegas now, and he's linked with the Narcolepsy Network, which directly affects his daughter. So, I mean, we've had all of these different charities get thrown out there right away just by seeing this initiative and hearing what Johnny was doing with Stack Up, which is what led me to really want to attach teams to these things. And, there's so much good effort that's being put out by even individuals. And to just kind of piggyback on what Johnny was saying is that we're hoping that this is the ground floor of something real big for the entire league and who wants to be involved with this. And we're here to help anybody. We ultimately suggest that people use Pledge It unless you're going directly through a charity in the way that they want to do something. But Pledge It is a way for you to take your individual cause, create yourself a page, and get people to attach to it. If any of these things to anybody who's listening sounds like something you'd like to be attached to, you can certainly create your own page. If you don't want to be attached with Louisiana Revolution name to donate to Stack Up with your player because you play for another team, well, Pledge It, from what Johnny has told me, Steve has already done the legwork for Stack Up. So they are now linked as a charity directly with Pledge It. If there's a player out there listening to this who plays for another team who would like to create their own page like Doug Britton has or Tom Rahman has, make Stack Up your charity and put it in the name of your player and your team. You have that ability with Pledge It. If you're someone who just wants to be involved and don't know what you want to do with your team, you can link on to any one of these things. You can come to the Louisiana page and say, hey, I'd like to match what Johnny's doing or what I'm doing, or wins for Gerald, like he was saying, or what you guys are going to do in Lone Star. So there's so many ways that people can be impactful here. I think that with all the stuff that I was able to list to you here, there's been a lot of work that was done already. And I think this is going to be a really positive effort that is going to be a positive reflection on this league, the organizations, owners, and players through season 15. And we're hoping that it's going to be more centralized and more organized as seasons progress. It's all about doing something good. In any way you can, jump on it if you have the means or the want. These are all your options currently that we're providing to you, and we really hope anybody who's listening, if there's any questions that you have, be it contacting Johnny directly, myself, or any of these organizations that I have listed, because they're going to have players behind them. It's a great cause for all, and we really hope that more people get involved.
Awesome. Ross, thank you for all the work that you've been doing to put all this together. And to you also, Johnny, appreciate both of you doing all this, doing all the legwork, as well as coming on the show and letting everybody know about it. Steve, if I can grab you for one more question. There was a question in the chat, and basically it's a two-part question, it was two questions that I can form into one. Somebody was wondering if they can get more reference points for StackUp. They see that you have stackup.org, but they're wondering what other social media you have. And then in addition to that, someone was asking if you guys have a Twitch channel that we can follow as well.
Yes, sir. So, yeah, stackup.org is the website. Twitch social media is stackup.org, all spelled out. Stackup, DOTORG. That's also our Twitch channel. We are a partnered Twitch channel. We have regular veterans streaming on that channel as far as 24/7 content. We've been trying to get folks to stream on that channel 24/7. It's it's a uphill battle, but they're folks donating their time and energy to keeping the channel up and running. That's over on Twitch. We have an Instagram, also stackup.org. I'm trying to think what else. I am at Shanghai 6, like the town in China. Shanghai SIX, all spelled out. That's my Twitter handle. I am also on Twitch as a partnered streamer at stackup_Shanghai 6. Boy, I think that runs the gamut there. Bottom line, the out of everything, the takeaway there is, if you or somebody think you might need some help, or want to talk to somebody, or have somebody that might need a little bit of support from StackUp, please head over to the website. We've got a pop-up that will come up and get you the help that you need instantaneously. So
okay, awesome. All right, well, thank you.
I'm
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, you're good. One thing, Steve, you might want to tell them, you also have a big Discord community, since we're all Discord guys and we got a lot of veterans in our league.
Sure, partnered Discord channel as well. Discord.gg, stackup.org, all spelled out again.
GG StackUp.
It's discord.gg /stackup.org, all spelled out.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, perfect. Trying to write all these down at the same time. Okay, good stuff. Really appreciate all the work that you're doing, Steve, as well. I'm a former Marine, so this all is very close to my heart. As well as a couple guys in the on the Lone Star Glory team and that are in the chat tonight as well. We got a lot of military people in the SFL. So thank you.
Yeah, I heard Gunny talking before I came in.
Oh yeah,
this guy.
Gunny's no joke. He's the man. All right, Johnny, Ross, Steve, thank you all for all the work, and thank you for coming on the show. We really appreciate you guys.
Of course. Thanks for having us.
Very much, Dave.
Yeah, you got it. Ross mentioned what Lone Star is doing, and before I get to our charity, which will be I'll be talking to my wife, actually, Mrs. Axis, here in just a couple minutes. But before I get to her, Lone Star Glory owner Charles Doherty is with us, and I wanted him to mention a couple things that we're doing with our field and with our generic players as well. Charles, you still with us, bro? Thanks for hanging on.
I am.
Thanks for hanging on all that time.
Wow, that's a tough act to follow, my friend.
Right?
So Lone Star Glory has a locker room full of veterans. I'm a veteran myself, and most of the players on the team are veterans. And we had tossed around a couple ideas in the preseason, and what we came up with is we named our field Medal of Honor Field. We've got 21 non-contract players on our roster, and all of them are named after Medal of Honor recipients. And each week in our social media, we're going to pick out one of them and honor them with a little bio and dedicate the game to them.
Awesome. Yeah, and thanks for hanging on. I know that I asked you to come on to say that, and I'm sorry I kept you on so long, but I thought that was worth sharing with everybody because I think it's a really cool thing that we're doing. And if other teams want to do something similar, I think it would be really great. So thank you, Charles, for coming on and telling that to us.
No, you're welcome.
Thanks, man. All right, so now the moment you've all been waiting for. My wife, her name is Lisa, is an ambassador for an organization called Objective Zero. Excuse me. And I've asked her to come on because we have voted as a team at Lone Star on what our charity would be for this season. And this is what we voted on. So, Lisa, are you available?
I'm here.
Okay, awesome. Couple questions for you about Objective Zero. First of all, tell me about Objective Zero. Let the listeners know, what is Objective Zero.
So Objective Zero is it's really interesting having listened to Steve and about Stack Up. It's not something that I was familiar with, but I'm really excited to go and take a look at that. Objective Zero is actually an app. So it's something you can download onto your phone, whether it's an Android or iPhone. And it's the main purpose of Objective Zero is to prevent suicide in veterans specifically. It's not uncommon for someone to feel uncomfortable asking for help, but it's even harder for those who've served in the military. In fact, over 20 vets and at least one current military member take their lives every day, and that's 2 times the rate of non-veterans. It's just a huge problem, and Objective Zero is really about bringing that number down to 0. And it was founded by Justin Miller and Chris Mercado in 2014, shortly after Chris recognized the signs of depression and suicide in Justin. It's a really interesting story of theirs, but it's an interesting app because it does provide you with the ability to get in touch with ambassadors, trained folks who, like it sounds, Stack Up. They go through a certain amount of hours to be trained as someone who can effectively handle speaking with someone who is in a challenging situation. In fact, there are over 1,900 peer supporters right now.
Wow.
Who engage in over 3,000 hours of voice and video connections in 50 states and 23 countries around the world. So it's just a huge outreach platform. And it's for veterans, current service military, and then all of their family members as well. So essentially anyone who is in the military, has been in the military, or has family members or friends who need the help that they might not be able to get somewhere else.
Amazing. Tell the listeners, why did you decide to start working with them and become an ambassador for them?
So throughout my career, I've tried to use my circle of influence, the people that I know, Johnny mentioned we all have a social circle, right? An outreach circle. And I've tried to use that in some form. And I've always volunteered in a charity of some kind, and never really had the opportunity to participate in something like this. But as a teenager, a young girl, I did go through a very tough time. I am someone who attempted suicide as a teenager. I spent time in a mental institution, and that's a hard thing. And like I said, it's hard for anyone to ask for help, but I know, it's harder for people whose job and whose personality is such to be the strong one, to not ask for help and to feel like they should be able to do it on their own. So having just a personal experience with that, and everyone in my family, all my friends and family are in the military or have been, and so it's just something that speaks to my heart and is really hits close to home.
Awesome. Yeah, that you do, and you do a great job. Last question, because I think really wasn't worried about timing tonight. Just so you guys in the chat know, I wasn't going to worry about being an hour with such an important issue tonight. But the last thing I want to know is if you can leave the listeners with any resources and information about Objective Zero in case they know somebody or if they want to get involved themselves.
Yeah, I thank you for asking, because this is something, it's obviously it's well known in some respects because it is available in all 50 states and in those 23 countries, but it's amazing how many people just don't know that it exists. The best way to find information is to go online at objectivezero.org. So you can find that on just online. But if you go into your App Store or your Google Play Store, wherever it is you find your apps for your phone, you can download the app for your phone. And that's actually the best place to get information, because right from the app, you can build your own profile. You can become an ambassador. You can get help. You can actually get help via text, voice, and/or video call. So if you don't want to actually talk to someone, if you just want someone to kind of chat with you and just kind of bounce some things off of them, you can do that. If you feel like you need to connect with someone visually and you want to chat with them video conference, you can do that. Provide you a variety of ways to do that. You can build your profile so that you can talk to someone specifically who was in your branch of the military, or even in the area that you served in. You can talk to someone who lives right in the area that you live in. As an example, I have my profile set to speak with anyone who's within a 50-mile radius of my area. So no matter where I am, I'm always available for someone if they are within 50 miles of where I am. And I typically will receive text messages from folks anywhere from 8 o'clock in the morning to 2 o'clock in the morning. It just depends on where they are and what they need. So the app is the best if you want to find resources. You can get direct links to all kinds of things, everything from the VA mental health program and the National Center for PTSD, Wounded Warrior Project. You can get job resources. They have a partnership with Canine Partners for Patriots, which is really an interesting program. They don't train the service dogs, but they teach vets how to train their own service dog.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that's kind of a cool resource and partnership. But they have also things like blogs, podcasts. They have a bunch of deals that are available for veterans, opportunities. They have links to veterans-owned businesses. If you want to be a patron of veteran-owned businesses, they have resources for military caregivers, military service and therapy animals. And then they have just a bunch of really cool, fun stuff like yoga, jujitsu, gaming, coding, surfing, hunting, like just anything and everything you can imagine that someone might be interested in. They offer you a resource and a way to connect with someone who has similar interests.
Awesome. Thank you for all of that information. I'm sure probably very little amount of people have heard of Objective Zero before tonight. So thank you for coming on and sharing all that with us and giving us all that information.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Of course. You are always welcome on my show.
And thanks to Lone Star for choosing Objective Zero as their charity. I think it's really exciting. I know that Objective Zero is always looking for partnerships, and it's really exciting that you guys voted and chose them as your partnership for charity this year.
Yeah, awesome. I'm part of an awesome team over there. So, all right. So everybody, that wraps up the show for tonight. I want to thank Hunter Norwood. I want to thank Jack Wall, Ross Napoli, Johnny Pickler, Steve Machugo for coming on, Charles, my lovely wife Lisa, and of course, as always, Gunny and his pearls of wisdom. We are going to have a surprise show tomorrow night, about an hour. Or I'm sorry, Thursday night. Thursday night we've got league personnel coming on. Friday night we're going to have a surprise show about an hour before kickoff. I'll give you more information about that on Thursday. Thursday we have, I think Cam's coming on, Andrew, Marcus, Rochelle, Mark. Oh, who else? Jeff is coming on. I think Chris is coming on. I think pretty much everybody except for Tom, because Tom already had a prior commitment. So you guys, league personnel, you got questions for them. We're going to cover all the bases. So make sure you tune in Thursday night, 9 p.m., right here at Twitch, as always. Again, thank you to all the panelists. Thank you to all of you listening to just a wonderful show about some wonderful things tonight. And as always, have a glorious day, and I will see you at the tees.